Okay, well, I've got 10 o'clock on the dot. Welcome to our fake 19th Diabetes Expo. This is our attempt to get keep the tradition going as far as National Diabetes Month is concerned. I'm Nina Pletcher. I am the president of the Diabetes Coalition. If you were expecting Sarah this morning, she had a little fur baby emergency. She will be with you later today. But for now, you're stuck with me. And I am pleased to welcome all of you on this, our first virtual expo attempt. Bear with me. I am having a panic attack about this whole technology thing, but hopefully I won't mess you up too bad. Kat is probably much better at this. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A tab. If you have a question as we go through this, please feel free to enter that in there. Also, if you're chatting with other folks on the program, we appreciate if you'd let them know who you are, where you're from, what agency, what, all we need to know about you that you're willing to share. I think without any more ado, I just need to recognize our sponsors. Our major sponsor for this event is the Delaware Diabetes and Heart Disease Program, and this particular session is being sponsored by the YMCA Diabetes Prevention Program. Our speaker is Kat Lubke, and I'm going to let her give you any information she wants to share about her background and how she landed this gig. But for the most part, I think we're good to go. I'm going to turn my mute button on so you can't hear me. And also,
all right, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our virtual webinar as part of the Diabetes Expo. So my name is Kat Lubke. I am from the YMCA of Delaware, and I am the Community Health Integration Program Director. So my job really kind of boils down to helping run some of our healthy living programs, which includes the Diabetes Prevention Program. So obviously November is Diabetes Awareness Month, so we wanted to take the opportunity to not only highlight diabetes, but also diabetes prevention. Switch slides, there we go. Okay, so diabetes prevention, we're really looking at people that have pre-diabetes. So pre-diabetes is simply that your blood sugar is higher than normal, but it's not high enough that your doctor is going to diagnose you with type 2 diabetes. If you have pre-diabetes, you are at high risk for obviously developing type 2 diabetes, but also heart disease and stroke. So we're really kind of talking today, at least in this presentation, about pre-diabetes or people that are with high risk for type 2 diabetes. So how many people actually have pre-diabetes? So all the research shows that 1 out of 3 US adults has pre-diabetes. That is a lot of people. So if you just think about the people you know and you count off every third person, that person may be at risk for type 2 diabetes or have pre-diabetes. So that's a huge portion of the population here in the United States. I love this little picture. This shows us the little iceberg. And what we know about icebergs is that the tip of the iceberg is the portion that we see above the water. That represents the smallest portion, right? The mass, the big part, is under the water, and it's the portion that we cannot see. And we can use that to kind of explain diabetes versus pre-diabetes. So we see that people with diabetes, that represents 29.1 million Americans. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's what we know, that's what we can see. Below the waterline is what we cannot see, and that's the number of Americans with prediabetes. So that's 86 million Americans with prediabetes. That's a lot of people. And even more important is that those with prediabetes, about 10% of those will develop type 2 diabetes every year. And then hopefully you can see this little line here, but we have that little tiny line that goes just below the surface of the water. So that line up to the surface of the water represents the number of people that have prediabetes and know it. So out of that 86 million Americans with pre-diabetes, only 10% of those people are aware that they have pre-diabetes. And mainly that's because they're not having their blood sugar screens. So if you don't know what your blood sugar value is, how do you know if you have pre-diabetes or not? So if nothing else happens today, if you're one of those that doesn't already have a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes and you don't know what your blood sugar is, please go and have your blood sugar checked. So why do we not want to develop type 2 diabetes? So this is the scary slide. This tells you all the other health complications and risks that come along with having type 2 diabetes. So blindness, kidney failure, stroke, neuropathy, which is loss of nerve damage or loss of sensation, mainly in your fingertips and toes, slowed healing, increased risk of infection, and all those things is what leads to the loss of toes, feet, legs, so on and so forth. You may not think this is a big deal that these things still happen today, but they are. You know, diabetes is very near and dear to my heart. I have many family members that have type 2 diabetes, my mother included. You know, we went out one day to get a simple girls' day to get a pedicure. She stubbed her toe on the way in, you know, and she thought nothing of it. And I said, no, you're not going to put your foot in that tub. We're not going to risk an infection. So just being mindful of things like that. A simple girls' day kind of had to make new plans because of one little stubbed toe. So what does prevention look like? So we are the Diabetes Prevention Program. So we are trying to either delay or completely stop the onset of type 2 diabetes. So prevention includes a couple things. It's a modest amount of weight loss, okay? This isn't the end-all be-all goal of like, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds. It's a little bit of weight loss, okay? For most people, it's about 1 to 2 pounds every week. It's 30 minutes of physical activity at least 5 days a week, okay? And again, it's getting to know your blood sugar numbers. So if you don't know what your blood sugar values are, maybe you already had some blood panels done and you just don't know what they are, go and look them up or have that conversation with your healthcare provider. So how well does the Diabetes Prevention Program work? So the Diabetes Prevention Program is a evidence-based lifestyle change program. Let that sink in for a second. Lifestyle change program. So we want you to make little changes to your lifestyle to help you prevent or reduce your risk for developing type 2 diabetes, okay? So these two statistics you see here actually come from a research study where they looked at participants 2 years after they had completed a lifestyle change program like the Diabetes Prevention Program. So for those under the age of 60, 58% of those people did not develop type 2 diabetes. So again, this was 2 years after completing the program, 58%. So more than half did not develop type 2 diabetes. My seniors over 60, even better, more successful in the program. 70% of those people did not develop type 2 diabetes. So that's pretty big. Part of this research study did put people on medication. So they used metformin as a blood sugar medication to help kind of medically reduce the blood sugar. And that population of this study 2 years later, only 32% of them did not develop type 2 diabetes. So participating in a lifestyle change program like the Diabetes Prevention Program is going to have more impact. You're going to be more successful than taking a pill. So what are the qualifications? You have to be at least 18, okay? You cannot be pregnant. Again, part of the program focuses on that modest weight loss. So if you're pregnant, you're naturally gaining a little bit of weight, okay? You do have to be overweight. So that is a BMI of 25 or higher. And if you're Asian, it's 23 or higher. So if you don't know what your BMI is, you can do a quick Google search for a BMI calculator, put in your height and your weight, and it will give you a number, okay? So if you're 25 or higher, you would have a qualification for this program. You cannot already have a diagnosis of type 1 or type 2 diabetes or end-stage renal disease. Again, this is a prevention program. So if you already have a diagnosis, you know, part of the Diabetes Expo, there's going to be tons of other resources for you. If you're in that category of prediabetes or at risk for type 2 diabetes, this would be the program for you. So if you can check off those first 4 items, the last thing that we're going to look for is your actual prediabetes blood values. If you don't know your blood sugar values, we're going to use the CDC prediabetes risk assessment, and we'll go over that in just a moment. So these are the prediabetes blood glucose values. So the first one is your A1C. So the A1C looks at the average amount of sugar in your blood over the past 3 months, okay? So for prediabetes, we're looking at that range between 5.7 and 6.4, okay? If you're below a 5.7, you're within normal ranges, you're doing great. If you're a 6.5 or above, technically you would that would be considered type 2 diabetes, okay? Fasting glucose, we're looking for 100 to 125. There is this little, smaller text that says Medicare beneficiaries. So we do have some insurance coverage, which includes Medicare. Medicare requires your fasting glucose to be between 110 and 125. And then the last blood glucose that we can take is a 2-hour plasma glucose, which the qualifying values would be between 140 and 199. Okay, we would want one of these values to be within the past 12 months as well. All right, so if you're one of those people that have no clue what your blood sugar is, we're going to use the CDC risk factor. And each of these statements, if you can say yes, you would give yourself that point value. If you're a woman who had a baby weighing more than 9 pounds, if you have a parent or a parent with diabetes, or brother or sister with diabetes, if you weigh more than you should for your recommended height. So again, that goes back to your BMI. If you are younger than 65 and get little to no physical activity in a typical day. So I'm not talking, you have a gym membership, you went last Tuesday and you haven't been back in a week. We're talking about regular, consistent physical activity. And then our age actually becomes a risk factor. So if you're between the ages of 45 and 64, you have a little bit more, you get 5 points for that. And if you're over the age of 65, you are considered at risk. So if you're overweight and over the age of 65 and you don't already have a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, you would qualify for this program. So if you go through that and you tally up your score, and your score is 9 or higher, you would be qualified for this program, okay? We also have this risk quiz available interactive on our website, so you can actually just go through and answer yes or no, and at the end, it's gonna spit out your risk score, and it will tell you right away if you're at risk or not. So that makes it a little bit easier. So what does the program look like? So the YMCA's Diabetes Prevention Program is a 1-year program, okay? It's not Amazon Prime. Things are not gonna show up in 2 days, okay? You didn't develop your risk for type 2 diabetes overnight. It's not going to go away overnight. So throughout that year, it breaks down between weekly, biweekly, and monthly sessions. So the first portion of this program is weekly. So you actually have 16 weekly sessions. You're meeting once a week, every week, and each meeting is 1 hour. After those first 16 sessions, you start to taper off a little bit. So you're going every other week for 3 meetings. And that will take you to the halfway point of the year. After that, you're going once a month for 6 months, okay? So in the beginning of the program, you're getting a lot of support, you're getting a lot of accountability, you're getting a lot of information, and then slowly starts to taper you off where you're gonna do this a little bit more independently. The goal is that you have made some lifestyle changes that you can sustain the rest of your life. This isn't something we want you to do for 21 days or for 30 days, and then after that, forget about it, okay? So we want you to build new habits into your lifestyle that eventually you wouldn't even have to think about doing them, okay? So each meeting, as I said previously, is 1 hour. So you come together, you kind of review a little bit from last week, you introduce a new topic, you discuss that, you do some goal setting at the end of the session, and that's it. So it's 1 hour every week. It is a small group setting, so normally it's anywhere from 8 to 15 people in a cohort together. And really, the other participants, you guys really bond. It's kind of amazing to watch people to come together and support each other, and you get so much from the other participants in your program. And then locations. So obviously we hold these at our YMCA branches as well as community sites, our senior centers, our churches, schools, any place that can give us a private location to have a meeting space. And then obviously, since the public health emergency, we've been having classes online virtually in a format very similar to this. I actually kind of call it the Brady Bunch, because you start to see everybody's little faces tick across the screen, and you get to participate in the program that way. So it's pretty great. Sorry for that momentary pause, the joys of working from home with school-aged children that have the day off. All right, so the next screen, we're going to talk about a little bit what the program content is. So the program itself has 25 individual sessions that each have a different topic. So you start out by focusing on healthy eating. So the healthy eating focuses on awareness, food tracking, and specifically tracking your fat grams. So if you see here in this picture, our lady in yellow, she has our little food and activity tracker. So in that, you're going to write down everything that you eat as well as everything that you do. Okay. Then after the first 4 sessions, you move on to talking about your physical activity. So your physical activity is more about things that you like to do and things that you can do, okay? We're not asking anybody to go out and do anything specific or start running or something crazy like that, but we want you to find things that you like to do and that you can do. And then really the bulk of the program is that behavior modification. So things like talking back to negative thoughts. What do you do when you make a mistake? This is actually one of my favorite sessions. So a lot of times we go through the week, we start the week really well, right? We're eating well, we hit our physical activity, and then Friday came. And Friday, it was Sue's birthday, and we had cake. And so you said, oh, I had the cake, so I'm just gonna have whatever I want this weekend because I already made that mistake. I might as well enjoy the weekend. Guilty, I know I've done that. A lot of people do that, okay? But if you think that is normal, I want you to think about driving your car. If you're driving your car down the street and you ran a red light, what do? Okay, you made a mistake. Do you stop in the middle of the intersection, get out of your car, and just leave your car there and say, I'm done, I'm not gonna drive anymore, I'll come back on Monday and I'll get it? No, you can't do that. You can't reverse, right? You can't reverse back through the intersection. That's not safe, right? But you move on, you keep moving forward, and you're moving forward a little bit more aware. And you are, I'm going to say probably 100% not going to run another red light that day, okay? So if you apply that to your lifestyle changes and to making choices, if you make a mistake, it's okay. Move forward, okay? You're going to be more aware and be less likely to make any other mistakes moving on, especially throughout that week, okay? So then we're going to talk about the next 2 items, which are the primary goals of the program. So the first one is a 7% weight reduction. Again, this is a small amount. So if you weigh 200 pounds, your goal in the program is to lose 14 pounds, okay? Our goal is to help get you there in the first 16 weeks. So that's less than a pound a week for somebody who weighs 200 pounds, okay? We want you to be slow and steady because I'm sure you've heard it before, but slow and steady weight loss, you are more likely to maintain that weight loss instead of yo-yoing up and down, okay? The second goal of the program is 150 minutes of physical activity per week. So that 150 minutes, that does break down to 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That can even be broken down into 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes after lunch, and 10 minutes in the evening. And then you work with your group and with your lifestyle coach to determine what that physical activity is and what it looks like for you. I was muted. I don't even know how long I was muted for. Let me go back a few slides. Oh, children interrupting me. All right, so we probably were around here, I'm going to assume. Thank you for the chat coming up. Let me see if I can open that up. I'm able to hear you. Okay, I'm going to go back to this slide and talk about what the sessions are, if that's helpful for everybody. All right, so the sessions focus on healthy eating, physical activity, and behavior modification. So healthy eating is about your first 4 sessions. So you focus on reading food labels, portion sizes. The one thing that we do give you is a fat gram goal. So you're going to, if you see our lady in yellow, she has this little food and activity tracker. So we provide those to you in order to record what you eat. So every day you're going to write down what you eat, how much of it you ate, and as well as the fat grams. And there's also a portion in there to write down your physical activity, which is the next focus of the sessions. So session 5 and 6, you really start to talk about your physical activity. So we want you to find things that you like to do and that you can do. Okay. So physical activity is kind of, it's all up to you. You know, if it's simply going for a walk or maybe participating in a yoga class or something like that, we want you to find things that you like to do, that you can do. A little bit later in the program, you talk about how you can actually change that to your benefit. Maybe do it a little bit longer or do something a little bit more intense. The last portion is behavior modification. So I can tell my story over again. So behavior modification is things like talking back to negative thoughts. So your negative thoughts sometimes can kind of interrupt your progress in something. You know, oh, I can't do this. I'm never going to be as good as, oh, my weight went up this week. Now I'm, you know, behind a whole week in the program. Those are all negative thoughts, and we want you to learn how to combat those and talk back to them. Okay. Another great session about behavior modification is what the slippery slope of lifestyle change. So basically it's what you do when you make a mistake. Okay. So we've all been in those situations where, you know, you're doing really great. The week went so well. And then Friday you had birthday cake. So on that Friday, you know, maybe you decide that since you have that birthday cake, that totally derailed you. And then you're going to do whatever you want this weekend and not stick with your plan. Okay. And then you'll start over fresh on Monday. Monday is always that magic day that everything can start over fresh. So think to yourself, if you've had moments like that, most people have, I know I have, but then I want you to think about driving your car. You're driving your car and you ran a red light. Okay. So if you're driving down the street and you ran a red light, what do? Do you stop in the middle of the intersection, get out of your car and say, I'm done driving. I'll come back and I'll get that on Monday? Can't do that. You also can't reverse. We can't undo what we just did. but you're going to move forward, and you're going to move forward more aware and less likely to make the same mistake again, right? What's the chances of you running another red light that same day? Very slim. I'm going to say probably a big fat 0. Okay. So those are all the things you want to think about as far as behavior modification. So in that year with those, there's actually 25 sessions. They each have their own individual topic that you go over. Okay. All of those 25 sessions help you work towards these 2 program goals. So the first goal is a 7% weight reduction. And then the second goal is 150 minutes of physical activity per week. So 7%, like I said before, this is a modest amount of weight loss. So for most people, it's about 1 to 2 pounds every week. So for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, your 7% weight loss goal is 14 pounds. We're trying to get you to that 7% in the first 16 weeks, and then hopefully help you maintain it or even surpass it in the rest of the program, okay? And then that physical activity, that 150 minutes broken down over the week, if you did 30 minutes 5 days a week, there's your 150 minutes, okay? I will say most people in the program tend to surpass that, so that's pretty great. All right, so here's our survey and evaluation. So these came directly from our participants to tell us things that they've learned or changes they've made from the program. So the first one, obviously, portion control. We talked about that a little bit. You learn that within the first few weeks. How daily exercise is important, and to keep trying. You're gonna think that something's gonna work for you, and it may not, so you need to try something different, okay? Changes they've made are eating more fruits and vegetables, plan out lunches, okay, and portion control. Can't tell you, you know, if you work in an office, or the days that you did work in an office, and you didn't pack a lunch, and you go out and you get lunch, you know, there's so many more options, and you might not make a choice that you would have made had you prepared your lunch ahead of time at home. Challenges is time. So obviously time can be a huge challenge for people. Your own self can obviously get in the way of things. Going out to eat can be a challenge, and there is actually a whole session dedicated on going out to eat at restaurants. Again, they want this to be a lifestyle change that you can continue for the rest of your life. So, I mean, not going out to eat again at a restaurant may not be something that you could sustain for the rest of your life. And then benefits to the program, obviously, lost weight, more energy, access to the YMCA. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And then eliminated a lot of muscle and joint pain. So you know, if you start to move more, you start to feel better in your joints, especially people with arthritis. Actually, the more you move those joints, the more lubrication comes to those joints, the better they feel. And then obviously lowering of their A1C levels. So this is a quick testimonial. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but this is Miss Summer Black, and she participated in an information session just like this. And at the beginning, she really didn't have a whole lot of faith in the program, but then it just totally shocked her. She became so successful in the program. She lost 30 pounds. She exercises regularly. She makes better food choices, better portion control, and she feels she just has more energy, and her chronic back pain is gone. So it really has been life-changing for her. She was able to do it with her coworkers. So it's really been great for her. So that's just one example of one of the participants from the program. So this is kind of the review time. I call it the pop quiz time. So who can participate? So you have to meet the program qualifications, which are you have to be at least 18 years of age. You cannot be pregnant. You do have to be overweight, and you cannot have a diagnosis of type 1 or type 2 diabetes. If you can check off all those boxes, you must prove you're at risk for prediabetes or type 2 diabetes by either a prediabetes blood glucose value or with that CDC prediabetes risk quiz. So if you scored 9 or higher, you would be at risk. So the cost of the program, there is a cost for this program, and it is $429. It is, like I said previously, covered by most health insurance companies. So my state of Delaware employees, so the state of Delaware group health plan, it's fully covered. It is also covered by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Delaware. for their commercial plans. And then my Medicare beneficiaries, it is covered under Medicare Part B. For my Medicare participants, you do need to have a qualifying blood value to participate under Medicare. We also have coverage under Medicaid, so both AmeriHealth Caritas and Highmark Health Options cover the cost of the program, okay? Also, finally, in this year, we have a grant from Newcastle County that does allow us to fully scholarship participants. So we have funds to put people through at no cost. So those of you joining us this year and in the next few months into next year, if you don't have one of those insurance coverages, you would be able to also participate at no cost through that grant funding. So it's a great time to start the program. Here is a list of our upcoming classes. So you see we have 2 classes starting in December. So we have Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. They'll start the week of December 2nd. I know the evening class is filling up pretty fast. So if you have an interest in that time slot, definitely reach out to us sooner rather than later. And then moving into the new year, we've started to schedule some of those classes as well. And these are all distance learning, by the way. So we have Tuesday mornings at 9:30, and then we will have Mondays at 6:30 p.m. All this information is also available on our website. So if you go to ymcade.org/prevent-diabetes, all of that risk, all the qualifications, the risk quiz, all of that wonderful information that I just came across, as you know, hopefully came across through this interrupted by tiny humans, as well as an online registration form. So there is a button that says get started, and you can fill that out, including all of your information. All right, so I'm going to leave this screen up here because it's got our information for you, and go through some of the questions. I need to make this screen a little bit bigger to see some of the questions. Is the insurance coverage all contingent on the success of the full achievement? So we are actually on a pay per performance model. So we get paid based on your attendance, and we do get paid, I call it a bonus, if you achieve the weight loss. But once you are participating under your insurance, the YMCA of Delaware doesn't charge you for the remaining balance if we didn't get fully reimbursed by your insurance. Okay. Scroll up. Sorry for everybody that couldn't hear me. Hope you didn't hear me yell at my kids.
Hey, Kat.
Yes.
And it's Nina. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think that first entry into the Q&A is from the Dining with Diabetes Cooperative Extension in Maryland. If you can, I think everybody can probably see that, but
Okay.
it sounds like they would like us to promote that for them, or at least
Sure.
remind people.
Yes. We have the Dining with Diabetes. So it's associated with the University of Maryland Extension, and they are also promoting some Dining with Diabetes virtual sessions. They did post a little schedule right here. So it's January 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th, and that's from 11 to 12:30. And they did put a phone number up there, which is 302-420-5026. I'm sorry. All right.
If anyone has any questions for Kat, feel free to put them in the Q&A. She's obviously able to see those right away, so she can respond. If any of you have any experience with your patients who've been through this program, I think we would appreciate hearing hearing how that went and their appreciation for the program. Kat, how many patients do you have to date, or have gone through the program to date?
Oh, wow. Okay. Hold on.
Not to put you on the spot or anything. I'm just curious.
Oh, I keep all that stuff at my fingertips. So this year we've had 392 enroll so far. Obviously, we're still filling up those 2 December classes. And last year was actually 402. So despite the, COVID and everything, we still are on track. So we've had almost 3,000 people participate in the program since we started running it 10 years ago.
Perfect. And people can find out where the classes are going to be at this website, Healthy Living?
Yes.
At YMCADE. Okay.
Yep. So that has all of the information on it. There is a schedule down at the bottom that has those listed on there. And that's pretty up to date. So as we build out new classes, they are on there. And you can just continue to see. So maybe if you say, I'm not starting in January or December, but January is going to be great. You can still enroll now for January. And we pretty much, with the distance learning, we've been running starting 2 new classes every month with a daytime and an evening available to start every month.
Okay, it looks like there's another question.
Sure.
Can you see
Do you
it?
think having the classes now available virtually have attracted more participants to the program? I think it has, because you saw on the challenge slide that time was one of the challenges. So when you're removing like an obstacle of like, it takes me 10 minutes to get there, or, it's dinner time and I have to do this, all this kind of stuff, I think it's removing a lot of obstacles for people that if they're stuck late at work, they can pop on and they can have their meeting. If they're on vacation, they can participate, as well as when we're having, places, especially in our Western Sussex County, where we don't have a YMCA location close. It's allowing people to participate that way, where maybe we haven't had a class previously, or we don't have a high volume of interest in a particular area to have a live class in person. It's bringing these people, allowing these people to be able to participate. And I just realized that I might have skipped an extra slide, or maybe it's not on there, but we do give our participants a YMCA membership. So the first 4 months of the program, they get a free YMCA membership. So all 7 of our YMCA branches are open right now. And we also have live classes via Facebook. And we're starting to create a virtual library where people can just go on and click a class and do it that way. So if people don't feel quite comfortable going out to a place like a fitness center, they can still have access to YMCA programming from the comfort and from the safety of their home. Good question.
Hey, Kat, it's Nina again. So I think it sounds like group therapy is a very, relevant thread here for the success of this. I'm curious about the classes you do virtually. Do the participants have access to each other through chat, through, contact? Facebook, or how do they get their group therapy fix?
Yeah, so they're still participating in that virtual format. We encourage people obviously to come on and show their faces, doing that Brady Bunch panel, as I like to call it. So it is slightly different, I feel. I think the classes that started in person and switched to virtual, they already kind of understand that they're here to share and they're here to support with each other. So the ones that started virtually, it's a little bit different, and it takes them a little bit longer to get connected to each other, but eventually they do form that connection. So outside of the actual 1-hour content with us, they are free to engage each other and share information or text message and chat. I know I had a group that started, and they ended years ago, but they still meet once a month for lunch. So people really do get that support and connection to the other participants in the program, even if they are doing the program virtually.
Very cool. Very cool. Any other questions? We still have a few minutes of this hour. While if we're waiting for more questions to come on, I just want to give you an idea about what is coming yet today. You actually get a break from 11 till noon. At noon to 1 o'clock, there'll be a program by Dr. Ashok Subramanian. He's with CarePort MD. His program is going to be the importance of screening and for complications. And they are especially interested in vision and blindness in the diabetic population. Then you get a break from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3. We're going to have an exciting program about advanced directives and end of life plans that you may or may not have thought about, and the importance of preparing and planning for that moment when family and loved ones have to step up and assume they know what your plan was for them to say goodbye. Then from 4 to 5, we have a program that is a new, not a new technology, but in fact, they were part of a focus group last year at the expo. It was very well attended. Vigo, it's an insulin delivery device, and that is going to be from 4 to 5 today. So then next week, Thursday, that's 1 week from today, November 19th, there will be we start at noon. From noon to 1, there'll be a program by Omnipod. They are a insulin pump delivery company, and I'm sure they'll have everything you need to know about their equipment and technology. Then from 2 to 3, we're going to have the Diabetes Alert Dogs. Canine Partners for Life are going to do a program about their dogs that are essentially trained to diagnose hypoglycemia. And the last program will be from 4 to 5, and that's the Dining with Diabetes in Delaware program. So we look forward to your participation next Thursday as well, and your ongoing participation today. We really appreciate your allowing us to do this virtual thing. And while it certainly doesn't take the place of the in-person live event, we hope that this will at least begin to meet some of the need. We do have a plan to we've postponed this live event to the spring, and the date for that is in April, and I believe it's the 27th at Del Tech Terry campus, barring a much improved COVID restriction situation by then. So I feel like we're planning a wedding. You know, we just have to kind of go day by day and see where the compass leads us. But the in-person expo has been rescheduled for April 27th, 2021. I don't see any more questions coming in, Kat. Does anybody else have? Oh, wait, there's something. Just to thank you so much for kicking this off. Glad to hear that UME will cross promote YMCA's program. Yep, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
All right, well, thank you. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to us at healthyliving@ymcade.org.
Great. Have a great day, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you back at 12 o'clock.